Have you ever wondered if you're a photographer or an editor? Well, let's just figure that out based on my personal experience and see if the litmus test fits you. Come on. All right, to be able to determine if you're a photographer or an editor, the first thing you have to do is figure out, do you like taking pictures or do you like editing pictures? Because if you like editing pictures, then you're an editor, and you should ignore this video entirely. Because I have figured out I'm more of a photographer than an editor. I've never really embraced editing to the degree that I see some people doing it. It's a tool in my toolbox, but I am not a devout editor that loves to figure out how to do all these really super fancy maneuvers with Photoshop and Lightroom or Capture One or whatever mode of editing you use. I'm still learning enough of Darktable to get me by with what I need to do. These are the things that I use to determine whether or not you're a photographer or an editor, and whether or not you should be bothering with your time editing. The JPeg quality coming out of these new modern cameras is unparalleled. It's not what it used to be 10 years ago even. I mean, JPEGs now are really nice images straight out of camera. If you know how to make simple adjustments in camera, you can pretty much eliminate a bunch of your basic editing needs out of camera. It used to be that you had to adjust, shadows and highlights and, maybe saturation and stuff, but it's all doable in the camera now. So you really don't have to do that post-processing. If you know the look you like, you can go ahead and just set the camera to a custom profile and just do it in camera. Can you get what you want in camera? Because a lot of times, like if you're shooting a DSLR, well, you can chimp. So you can take the image and look and then make adjustments and take a second image. So that's not really an excuse anymore, even with a DSLR. But with the modern mirrorless, when you're looking through the viewfinder or looking at the screen on the back, it's showing you the image it's going to capture, down to even like very slow shutter speeds. The other day I was taking that photo of the train passing in front of the crossing, and as you can see, the train's blurry. Well, when I was looking through the viewfinder, the train was blurry. It was showing me that representation, and you can get that in camera now. So if you know what you're looking for in camera, then is it really necessary to do a bunch of post-process editing in in some sort of expensive program? I don't know. Just got a smoking picture of a spiderweb being backlit by the sun. It's kind of a unique image because it's in direct sun, and normally spiderwebs dry out pretty quick and you don't get to see them. So I thought that was pretty smooth. But I was able to capture the image that I was wanting in camera because I was able to see it through the viewfinder, and that's a pretty powerful effect that you can have. It's readily available. With the current technology, these cameras have really good wireless transfer capabilities. So if you want to share one of these on Instagram or your Facebook page, it's not really a big problem. You can just wirelessly send it over to your your smartphone or your iPad or what have you. Do whatever cursory edits in that program that you want and upload it immediately to the internet. A lot of people only take images with their cameras to share them digitally. They don't print images like they used to. So it's not like a big thing to get high resolution images, because I think, it's a 2K monitor. Basically is a 1080 HD monitor. It's 2K. It's 1920 by 1080. If you do that mathematics, it comes out to about 2 megapixel. So you can come up with images that you want to share on the internet without having to spend a lot of time in the editing process, and just save yourself the trouble. So what do y'all think? Do y'all think we can get images straight out of camera that are basically print worthy, or they're shareable without having to do a bunch of time spent editing? Because if you're a photographer and not an editor, then you don't really enjoy the editing process. And I really don't enjoy editing. I do it, but I don't really enjoy doing it. So I try to mitigate the editing as much as possible. I don't do any of that advanced stuff. I'm just not interested in it, so I don't do it. That's why I got rid of the Adobe Suite. I was spending all that money every month on a suite of software that I never used. And I thought, why am I buying this software if I'm never using it? Because I didn't, honestly. I had really no idea how to use Photoshop. I really have never used it enough to know how to use it. Whenever I wanted to do some task, I would have to look up a YouTube video on how to do that task and then follow the steps. Basically, pause the video, go to Photoshop, do that step, go back to the video, play it some more, do that step, back and forth it until I got, like if I wanted to do a focus stack thing, I would have to go through the process with a YouTube video on how to do it, because I didn't do it enough to be fluent with the program. Let's be honest with you, it was complicated and I didn't need it. I'm happy with what I'm getting out of camera, or I'm happy with the image processing that I'm doing on a rudimentary level. I don't see the value in doing the extreme edits that I see some people doing. When I see people doing extreme edits, it doesn't seem to me like it brings that much more to the table after they've spent all this time doing those extra complex tweaks and touches to their images. I don't know. I'm just a shooter. I'm not an editor. So what do you guys do? Do y'all enjoy the editing process? Do y'all want to capture an image and just see what all you can do to it? How much bending and pushing and pulling you can do? Because some people like to edit and they enjoy doing it, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm not one of those people. Leave me a comment below and let's talk about this. Let's have a conversation in the comments if you and let's see. Do y'all like to edit? Do y'all, what's your preferred editing software? Do you like to shoot and take them straight out of camera? I do. Leave me a comment below and let's talk about this. Let's have a conversation in the comments and let's see. Do y'all like to edit? Do y'all, what's your preferred editing software? Do you like to shoot and take them straight out of camera? I do. With that, this is David, the Georgia photographer, and if you haven't already, click that subscribe button. It's right over there. Give me a thumbs up if you like the video. I'd appreciate it. I think there's a deer right over there in the tree line. It sounds suspiciously like one, but I don't see it because there's a bunch of undergrowth, and I think it's hiding behind it, but I can hear it snapping twigs and stuff off of like pine saplings as it walks by. I keep watching for it to see if it'll materialize out of the tree line.